Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PML. We've got matchup number 2 coming up for all of you. I rhymed in my first intro of the day. I really appreciate that.
Nailed it.
I nailed it.
In fact, you know what?
Good.
Close the show down. We're done
Shut
here.
It down.
Everything's going perfect.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I know you've been qualifying, but I think I just ended the show right there. Rain Day, Gormizer here to carry you through the action. Let's take a look at the matchup coming. It is Zenith versus Ferocity. These are two teams that are going to throw it down.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw Zenith go through a grueling 5-game set, although the ones they won, they were definitely in control of. Ferocity is the team that my eye has been on pretty much since week 1 because they had always been the bridesmaid, right, for the PGS. Every time I had seen them before that week, they were always like, oh, cool, we made it to the finals, number 2. They always made it to the finals, number 2. That was the first week they came through. They were up against Bork in the finals, and they pretty much slaughtered them. Like, they just did not care. And so this is going to be a really intense matchup, or we're going to see Ferocity do that again.
Well, that's the thing. What do you get from a group of guys who go through this best-of-5 situation and then have more games to play throughout the day? Fatigue starts to come into the conversation, and Ferocity, if they haven't had as tough of a road, I could see them maybe jumping out a little bit more ferocious than Zenith, their counterparts here in this matchup.
When you're playing round robin, you're all playing every single team once in your group.
That's right.
You're going to see a wide variety of skill, but you're going to be in that position where, you know what, we played one of these sets was like a very fast 3-0,
exactly,
and then the next one took us 2 hours to finish. Like that, it's going to start playing against you. If you're sitting around and your final, maybe more important match of the day is like 6 hours in, you have that's an endurance test.
Oh, totally. And I think, endurance is a big part of competition. We see the Grover and the Eevee here with Ferocity getting picked up early on Frog Isle, so already trying to counter out the Kinessa, the sniper option, and Inara. It's been a big staple here in North America today from the games we've seen. I've seen a lot of Ashe. I haven't seen a lot of dominating Ashe performances, though, Gorm.
Yeah, she's been back and forth. I feel like Ashe is in this meta because, her shield is very effective, her health and her damage are effective, but she's not going to be as game-changing. Yeah, the ult mainly is what I think keeps her in this, just because here's 8 seconds free. Unadulterated, you can just do whatever you need to be able to get back in this. But other than that, she really needs, I think, a good team behind her, a good healer to keep her going, and maybe some good follow-up damage to make sure that complete kill comes through.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at it, we've always in Paladins kind of favored this higher TTK up until one of the recent metas called the burst meta that was more so around trying to just eliminate targets as quickly as possible. Things like Nightshade Willow, Death and Taxes Leon having super high amounts of anti-heal at the start of a game, everyone dying very quickly, and it's really about can you bring enough damage to kill them before they kill you. And I think at this point now, we're seeing this Fernando, this Ashe, Ashe, great champion. Fernando, like Nick mentioned, like we mentioned, I'm not a huge fan of right now, and it almost feels like just a placeholder because they don't know what else to pick. Or nothing else feels good, right? Gives them an extension of the fight.
It's like that reach for what was once incredible and trying to make it work out, but now you've seen the team on the right.
Yeah.
But Poison, Jalen Sanity, Kerfluffle, Stigma, Va, players that have been around for a while. Again,
long time.
A lot of players that have been not only surprising in the way that they've been able to play these last few weeks, but also just in terms of their history in the game, a lot of surprise upsets that they've been able to bring.
I'll tell you who played absolutely phenomenally. Poison. Last time I saw him, this guy was going off. Absolutely just carrying for the squad. And as you can see, things are continuing that way. Finds the first kill
Still
on
got
a
it going.
Mage Monkey. And this is the other Ashe performance. I've seen him play Ashe all day. It just hasn't been that special for me. And for whatever reason, they keep going back to it. But Watkins here, he finds himself a couple of kills and forces everyone back. The sniper still wins the day, but realizes Grover's keeping an eye on where she's perched.
And I will say one of the things we didn't get to see last set, every single time a sniper did come out, well, the one time on Frog Isle that it was brought out, there was a Kinessa ban specifically to kind of stop Zenith from having that sniper presence. And now I think we're starting to understand why. Watkins has been incredible on DPS all day, but if he can apply that to the damage numbers that Kinessa can put out, it makes a huge difference in a fight.
And you see, Flame Effect's getting a little low, anticipating where Poison might be coming from. If they can find any here, and that's where Poison wants to put his energy towards, they could do something to really open up that objective fight. Flame gets hit as well, and it's a sword. He's going a little bit more aggressive because he can blink back. And he gets a spray just to let you know that was close, but I had it all planned all along.
It was all fully calculated. He was in control of the situation. And right now he's in control of Mage Monkey. He's just having to do whatever he can. Not able to get fully through the shield. He's still out a leg peeking through, and that's enough to deal the damage.
And that's the way to do it right here. I mean, he goes away from the cast. He gets the Ice Storm on 2. Huge plays here from Poison. Absolutely dominant. This guy hits the flick shot as well as he soars up into the air. But oh no, the point fight has been won without him again by Team Zenith. Ferocity, so close, but no cigar.
You know, I am going to say, I can almost hear Poison screaming. Because, like, imagine making that good of an EV play.
Yeah.
You take 2 out of commission, your team still lost the point
Turn
fight.
back around and everyone else is dead.
It is a very unfortunate scenario because he played his role perfectly there.
Solo queue, yeah.
It is just very much what did Grover, was he able to accomplish? Was he able to get the healing that they needed? Was Fernando and the Inara able to stand on the point as long as they could? They were just under an onslaught of too much damage. Cassie specifically, but really Barrack Ash, there's a lot of poke that comes down from so many sources that you're going to almost perpetually feel like you're at low health.
Well, what's so funny that I see, and I love these teams and the way that they give us a different... Oh, Homel's off the map there, and he is off the map. Just going to blink on, get a nice Blossom Heal, and then spray away. Is that these teams do not really step on the throat of their opponents. They kind of allow themselves to play this game at a slower pace. I mean, if you imagine kind of the level of lack of mercy that we've seen Envies and Navis have on their opponents, that when they win so hard, there's no question, there's no doubt. It just feels like an unstoppable force. The thing that I noticed too is confidence, but also the direction they try to take these lineups. Again, Jalen Sanity's really just buying time for this squad. Hasn't contributed much offensively, and the point fight has not been won by Ferocity right now.
And this payload, it's moving a lot faster than I think anybody on Frog Isle would really hope to see. A minute left, and it's still pretty much right there. Maybe 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah.
With a minute, you can do anything with this payload. I mean, it will potentially go in. This fight's definitely looking good. Get rid of Nini, make the rest of the team fall back. But again, this map is a lot smaller than some of the other ones. We just came off of Frozen Guard at the end of the last set. Coming into this, it is a drastically different style. 30 seconds is what you need for the last of this. An overtime push is not outlandish. All you need is a couple of good kills.
And if you can get it, like you said, with the sniper, you know, things can already start snowballing. But I don't know if I've really looked at Team Zenith and said they're playing much better than Ferocity. I mean, Poison's been pretty on fire. I feel like things just haven't gotten going in the right manner for the front line, for this pressure from Jalen and Kerfluffle. And if they can have something with that, you know, maybe it's just a case of Team Zenith being warmed up a little bit more. I mean, a best of 5 will do that to you.
Yeah, especially putting you competitively, especially since one of the games they had to play on and unfortunately lost on was their Frog Isle map. So being able to come here, recognizing, okay, maybe we can keep it under control. You're taking a lot of damage from Flame on the side, but that's the response you need to see, right? That's what we haven't been seeing to this point. The damage on the side has never been returned in full. Flame got 2 shots off, and then 4 members collapsed on them.
Yeah. And, you know, what's interesting is we used to see so many different approaches to this team fight. They're really relying. Jalen Sanity approaches right there. We see him when he goes into the Ice Storm, but dies immediately. It's so interesting. Watkins, under pressure, gets the Ice Storm, turns around, and still kills Jalen Sanity. So I think something as far as the pressure that he's providing, or maybe a little bit more of the sustain, it's got to change. Kerfluffle and him, 0-2, 1-3, respectively. And Mage Monkey 3-3, so getting at least a couple of kills before he's going down.
I will say, looking at Jalen Sanity, on a streak now, has resilience, has caught 2, but it was him, Kerfluffle, kind of not even faltering, just taking more damage than I think they thought they were going to in that kind of scenario. And admittedly, you don't think Kinessa's going to turn around and look at you. You don't think that while Evie is sitting on top of her dealing damage, that she's going to be able to turn around and find that shot. But Watkins has been playing kind of cool under pressure all day. And so you have to kind of expect that coming down. Stigma finally going to be able to get the kill, and it's onto Watkins, so that's a very big, important kill. And you get the Dome Shield not on the objective.
I mean, I think at this point, they just wanted that, and now they feel very confident. But that confidence, you know, could come from many, many moments. I mean, Watkins under pressure, he can't kill everyone, but they feel... It feels a little slow to react, and now still haven't taken much with that lead. 45%, can they turn it into something a little bit more consistent? Jumps up, avoids the seismic crash, and has a seismic crash of his own. Mage Monkey finds the kill, cements himself onto the point as he plants the flag. And again, a couple of good backline kills turns into a loss on the front line for Ferocity.
Being able to find these shots, Watkins being back. Flame and him I want to say, firing in tandem as well. There's a lot of pressure, and I even said this. You get rid of the sniper early on. They did that. They were able to. Flame just returned the damage in full when it came down to it. He was able to get Stigma off on the side. And that's the difficulty of dealing with Zenith right now. You have to kill so many people to make it worthwhile.
I mean, Kerfluffle's wall is either on cooldown or he doesn't put it up fast enough. I mean, that's where you need to go. Run up, put the wall up immediately. And he dies putting the wall up, and it feels off. It feels off from Ferocity. And you're right, the Bridesmaid Syndrome may be coming back here as Team Zenith now take even more of a commanding lead. No matter what, the consistent thing is that they have controlled this point. Backline kills, EV plays, doesn't matter. The points are going the way of Zenith, and they look in control of this game more and more.
I think that's more impressive than, honestly, anything. Like, you could get a 4-0, and that's a nice score, but like, it's not a genuine impressive feat. An impressive feat is we've won this point even when we lost the fight.
Exactly.
Like, we've been able to come through or potentially won the fight even though we lost the fight. Like, there's no reason some of these things should be going Zenith's way, but they're still able to pull it through. Zenith doing exactly what they need. Stigma on the other side, I just feel like I see a lot of these shots maybe not connecting in full, not a lot of damage. Like, Victor, while he's a nice pick, doesn't seem to be hitting the strides we're seeing out of Zenith.
Yeah, no, I mean, and maybe it's the, take a look at the load. I would assume he's running Grenadier. I would assume he still has that grenade pressure, and he does.
Predator.
You know, he's got some lifesteal as well. It just, you're right, it feels like a silent game for him. There's the barrage as well. Immediately goes onto the Kinessa, who repositions right out of trouble. And that grenade should hit something. It actually hits the Kinessa in the back line. And now Nini is pressured. This is a good opportunity to push this, and we're going to see a little bit of aggressiveness now. And look at that. A couple of kills start to flow. Watkins still full, healthy, not too upset, and hits the shot. Maybe that's just why Watkins just daring them to come at him, and he's getting healed up by Baller Steve and making it out of every situation.
And I've got to say it again, something that I don't typically get to see out of Kinessa players. He gets shot, and he doesn't unscope. He doesn't try to run away. He doesn't. Instinct for him is to continue the fight. Instinct for him was to, okay, I'm taking 2-3 burst shots from this Victor, and my shot's charged. I'm going to fire now. Like, he waits patiently. Like, this is...
He's just owning them.
Just a different tier of Kinessa.
Yeah, he's literally just on fire. He's owning pretty much everybody except Poison, who is, you know, distracted, doing a great job, but, you know, headshots are flowing. You know, like the water at Zion National Park. I don't know what else to say.
His heart's pumping, his hands are shaking, but he's still shooting. He's still getting headshots.
He's still getting headshots, baby. So that's a good push. It seems like this game and the morale of Ferocity have waned. Team Zenith seeming in control here.
Comeback mechanics going to be enabled for him this round, which they didn't have last time. So if they get a good fight, similar, I want to say good start to what they had last round. They kill off Watkins very early on. They potentially cut off Baller Steve and kill either Nini or Mage Monkey. Then that's going to make it a lot easier for them to put themselves on the point and try to take advantage of having comeback mechanic. But I mean, Flame Effects is like 9-3 right now. Watkins is on a 10 streak. Like, there's so many factors, and it just comes down to what we were saying at the beginning of the last set as well. Zenith just has 5 members that are playing so insanely well that it's hard to counter out any individual one aspect.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of doing the same thing over and over again. I think they're trying to maybe bring a different pace to it. But yeah, I mean, trying to win this right side. There's the Ice Storm a little earlier, like we mentioned, a little bit of a different pace. But it's still not really working out, so an adjustment needs to be made. I mean, maybe a dive needs to happen. Maybe just pull the sniper's eyes away. Poison doing his best. He's going to ice block there, and this is just to get away so he doesn't get hit by any of the pressure. But it's not going to be for any true impact as he dies nonetheless, and so does Kerfluffle and Jalen Sanity right behind him.
This is just good Paladins coming down from Zenith, right? That's just the only way to really describe it. They're not tripping up. They're not making mistakes. They aren't choking any kills away. Like,
wow, nice
that
shots.
Is probably one of the biggest leading factors to a team losing is you get a little bit of pressure on you, especially when you've been ahead and you choke it away. You miss a couple shots.
Definitely.
There were no missed shots. Flame Effects, Watkins were hitting everything they needed to.
They certainly were. Great stuff there from Team Zenith, who continue their streak 2 games in a row, at least from what we've seen on broadcast, and starting off the second set right for the day. Of course, we have post-game stats coming up for you. Let's take a look at some of those, get an idea of who was really the star of the show. And as you could see, Watkins, 120K.
120, dude.
Flame Effects doing his dang thing as well. 130,000. In fact, Va actually beating the healing numbers that Baller Steve would put out, but I'd say the more impactful healing was from Baller Steve, and
Yeah.
only dies 2 times again. A fantastic performance from him.
And obviously the slash lines tell a story themselves. 12, 3, and 9, 11, 3, and 10 for Watkins and Flame Effects, respectively. And that's just the fact that they were, again, constantly taking these fights that they were winning. Stigma, as this Victor, did not put anywhere near as much pressure, I think, as they thought this was going to grab when they were picking him up in picks and bans. And there were several moments just like that, where if Poison comes in, even 3/4 of his health, one good headshot, 1800, that's enough to get rid of an Eevee.
Absolutely. And I think you see here the way that we see Stigma have like a little bit of that highlight. It feels like it's all just, let me see if you guys are going to give me this space, not I'm going to take it. And Cassie and sometimes Kinessa, the way that you can play with them can be more aggressive. You can take the space, you can own a particular line of sight, and if you do that well enough, like you hit your shots, people will respect it. Eevee can do the same thing too, but I didn't see Poison blinking in on Watkins ever. He was blinking on the right side, shooting at both the tanks, and that was pretty much the point fight till it all got to where like, hey, it's over, we got to try and kill him, and oh no, we don't. Now, the team has lost the objective. So Game 2 hopefully will show a different story for Ferocity. Yeah. Not the way they wanted to start this one out. Frozen Guard will go right back to where the last set ended.
And this is actually a map that, again, Zenith played incredibly well. They were able to pick up a lot of different strategies, kind of insinuate in their picks and bans, like at the very beginning, like, this is the strategy we're going for. We're going to ban Kinessa and make you think we're going to grab Strix, or, we're going to make you think that snipers are a case of this.
Right.
Scoop something different up, but they held themselves true throughout the entire map. And, again, that one was, I think, a 4-1. Might have been, 4-1 coming down from them, similar to what we just saw. And Frog Isle is kind of a level playing field. Everyone has a Frog Isle.
It is.
Frozen Guard is still level. Everyone's had the same amount of experience on it, but there's some teams that just know it better.
Yeah, and it's a fields map too, because this map does not suit every play style or every team composition. A lot of the blasters, if you are a big Drogo's player, can't quite fit as well on this map. And you do see more of the long range continue to gain an advantage because of the long lines of sights. Shaolin's, Cassie's, Leon's, Kinessa's, Strix's, these things can be viable on Frozen Guard, whereas they might not be on every other map. Especially on the defense, so you got to watch out for that. Makoa left unchained this time around.
And I feel like this is actually similar to something we saw earlier. Unfortunately, this time around, you don't get the Cassie on your side. You really don't have that many options in terms of percentage damage to deal with a Makoa. So this is either just confidence, or they recognize, oops, we made a mistake, but we didn't want them to have Grover.
And I think the Grover pick is important. And Zenith going with the Grover after playing against it on the side of Ferocity. Stealing a lot of the champions, taking the Baller Steve Maldamba away, but obviously the Grover's already selected, so kind of having that on that second tier. But the Barrack going in as well, something that we've seen Zenith perform nicely with. Flame Effect's going to go back to this pip, which has worked really, really well. And I just wonder if Ferocity have an answer in the long-range component. Will a Strix come out?
I don't know. They're in a good position to be able to pick one up if they want it. But I feel like Zenith kind of...
maybe.
Well, with a Kinessa and a Pip, I think you have just enough to be able to pressure out a Strix that you're not going to feel comfortable. Picking him up, you can still do it. Cassie's definitely going to be able to provide a lot of support, but I feel like it might be risky. I wouldn't mind seeing a Bomb King.
You're trying so
They're going to switch it up completely, and they're going to go for Sky.
Well, I think what they were missing is pressure, and the pressure on Frozen Guard can come from a lot of different ways. You got to watch out, because there's a lot of champions that can burn Sky, but Sky can burn a lot of the champions on that team as well. That debilitate combo, it's going to hurt the Inara. She's got a lot of health to be dealing with, so I like this attempt. We'll see if they can play a little bit more aggressive and get into the zone here, as Ferocity trying to bounce back from an early deficit in this set, 1-0 for Team Zenith, as we head to Frozen Guard for map 2.
Momentum in this map can be kind of a big thing if you're riding Zenith. Again, you've already played one that we've seen today, and now you're kind of not only riding that high, but you just got to win, so you have a little bit more going for you. But this point fight, and honestly more of this push, is just so grueling to be able to get through that. Trying to find a 2-0, trying to get that conversion, it's a little more difficult.
Yeah.
It's a lot more like a Splitstone Quarry or Nice Mines, one of those slower maps. Not quite as difficult as those two, but definitely in that higher echelon.
100%. Now you can see that the Makoa also providing a lot of dive, but he's used his shell spin, and that means that he has to get bailed out here with heals. Otherwise, he is dead. He gets another shell spin, so he's got the loadout that allows him to get that essentially the double shell spin if he drops below a certain amount of health. It is ebb and flow. And so he had that, knowing that he could be aggressive, maybe bait them out, but it doesn't really work because Ferocity, again, lose 2 members as they get aggressive.
I'm going to throw it out. This is the second Surf 5 I've seen today, which it's been a long time. Like, I've seen Surf in the past, but I haven't seen Surf focused on as much. And Ebb and Flow making it with that loadout as well. Just a longer dash that comes down or comes up more often for Makoa. Again, either aggressive or to get out, save your life. It's an interesting loadout, and I honestly think that it's one that makes a lot of sense, even though, you know, typically the strong arm, the pluck-oriented kind of loadouts have been dominating.
And look at this. Really trying to focus down this Ashe, but the problem is, buys just half a second and see you later, Sigma. Really not worked out in some of these plays, and Watkins has just been off the leash with this Kinessa. This is looking really, really good for Team Zenith, and I think Ferocity, with some adjustments, maybe go a little too far out on the edge. Still a little early to call. This guy could start to bear some dividends as we open this game up with some more long-range play here on the push. But so far, not really working.
You know, there's something about Zenith, apparently, that in Game 2 of every set they've played, at least today, they bring out a Sky is brought out against them. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about them makes Sky want to be played by the other team.
Okay.
Because it happened earlier, and it was very much the same avail. It's like, cool, you're getting some decent damage off. I mean, you're Sky, so you're dealing percentage damage, so your numbers better look good.
Yeah.
But you're not getting any kills. You're not doing anything really flashy. Right now, I've never seen a payload walk this smoothly down Frozen Guard, so there's just a lot to be said, and I think mainly of Watkins being able to apply a lot of pressure from far away, but just the way Ferocity are playing isn't very ferocious.
Oh, yeah. It looks like a Georgia freeway on a Sunday, baby. Everybody's in church, and you just got that
nice and clear
ride to Whole Foods. It's totally not talking about my life right now. It's just, just mentioning a hypothetical situation that could occur.
Or you happen to be in Georgia
on a Sunday
yeah,
if you live
and
in
going
Georgia,
to Whole Foods.
And there was Whole Foods that you like,
And your name happened to be Evan Rayner.
Yeah, I mean, it's hypothetical, but yeah, sure, you could add that in there.
The hypothetical situation.
Ninny here, doing his best to continue this smooth walk. He's got some turrets. He's just going to say, Barrick, I like these turrets, but not too much. Kind of getting in the way here. I want to continue this nice Sunday afternoon stroll, so would you mind just letting me shoot those down? Barrick doesn't seem to mind as of now, or at least Kerfluffle just keeps backing off, says, sure, take the space. And the space has certainly been taken. Makoa now forced into an interesting situation. Does he go for the Ancient Rage? Does he just die? He's going to decide to die. Let it go 2-0. I was talking about this earlier with one of our other casters, Dave, while we watched the last Frozen Guard map. And, that Baller Steve forced out that Ancient Rage from the Makoa to try to defend, and then he died, and then it was 2-0 anyways. I like saving these ult score. I don't know about you, but comeback mechanic sometimes can be a benefit in that next round.
It's something, and again, I always use the term like abuse comeback mechanic because that is not necessarily what you do with it, but you have to win that fight. You keep Ancient Rage, you keep your ults for that round 2, and you go down 2-0, and you just kind of hope for the best. Yeah, it's a risk. You might go down 3-0. You might end up losing the game because of it, but I'd rather see that than what we saw in that last game like you were using as an example, where you pop the ult, and it doesn't mean anything anyway. Like, you still get pushed on. It's just a little bit more time that you might buy at the end of a round.
And, I mean, the thing is, too, like, imagine you use all your ults, you stop it, it's 1-1, then you go to the next point, and
you have no ult.
You have no ults, and I mean, that's the other thing. It's like,
have fun.
Okay, so you already don't have an advantage here. Why don't you just accept that you don't have an advantage and try to get the advantage that'll matter next round? Unfortunately, they were not expecting to get just dove on and turned into chickens, and that's exactly what happened. Stigma finds Baller Steve, but it's a little too late. Poison, though, coming back, he finds 2, and so this is looking good. Poison with a nice dodge, and he is now going to turn the tide of this fight. Instead of Poison being the aggressor, he waits, and then he aggresses on to those waiting by, and look at this. He has turned this fight into Ferocity's hands, and he still has his ult to boot.
And I like the way he took that fight just because of the way you were looking at it. First off, again, you're using your comeback mechanic. You just have to win the one fight.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that he recognizes where can I fight Ashe where Ashe is going to be at a disadvantage, and that is in this nice open area. The minute she gets into the caves, he backs off. He's like, this is not a fight worth taking anymore. Like, you're going to be able to do more damage to me and dodge around these ice blocks faster than I can get those shots. But you maintain a scout, which admittedly is only going to help in positioning, but you also still have that Ancient Rage available to you. You're charging up your other ults pretty quickly.
Like this.
And I'll say this looks way better coming down from Ferocity.
And this is what you want for your Sky, to play with her team. I mean, the dive Sky, those days have been a little over, right? He knows a seismic crash is going to hit. There's no way Stigma could have gotten out of that room, so he just goes for it, and he ends up reaping the dividends here. But here's the Ancient Rage Makoa. rocking that brand new skin, and boy, oh boy, it is looking good. Finds himself a kill, can't quite get the hook off cooldown to grab faller Steve before he heads to his own safe haven in his base, and now minute and 30. It's looking to be a 2-2 if this keeps going as well.
I mean, walking right in so far. I mean, just as clean as Zenith walked it down last time. Finally getting a little bit of a snag towards the tail end, but you have a minute and 20 seconds. It's a long map. If you wipe right here, it could be a long time to get back, and you might not have enough time. And Stigma going down there without getting the kill definitely stalls this out.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I mean, they might get... Oh, Va trying to stay alive, and he will. Luckily, he gets the gourd, heals himself back up, so they don't have to retreat too far, but yeah. This is where you're going to see the Kinessa and the Grover. Oh, it'd just be so hard to deal with. They've got all the lines of sight. They've got so much damage. The Pip has the slow. And Explosive Flask going to set up so many easy shots. And especially the Cripple as well. There's just a lot of threats. They got to get her off this perch before they can really make a move.
We've seen Watkins Grace under pressure, and what a beautiful hook! It got him before the teleport, but right after it triggered.
Oh, that was lovely. And this just shows that they are ready to do whatever they need. Kerfluffle really using that small model of Barrack. He can actually avoid, you know, a lot of damage just because he hides behind that beautiful payload. And Mage Monkey jumping up into the air, waiting to maybe get hooked. He's going to just try to hook out of it, and I think that's the safest play. Wait till he lands. Don't try to go for the mid-air hook. Jalen Sanity throws up the shield. This should be a 2-2. It's just Watkins holding it down as the Ganessa. Beautiful stun as well. Can they turn it around? But it looks like they might hold here.
I mean, a couple of shots coming down. Jalen doing whatever he can. But unfortunately, everybody else was taken down. He was the last man standing in a fight where he needed his team behind him. Didn't quite get that Ancient Rage fully charged back up, but a lot of it came through. And that's actually another thing that was impressive about that very beginning of the round. They got Jalen Sanity and Poison with that, but Poison went and hid, and it feels like right after they killed Makoa, everybody on Zenith is looking at the point. You could see Pip there completely ignoring the fact that there's a Cassie behind him, and he didn't recognize it until it was too late to try and turn around.
Well, I mean, that's the one thing that changed about this dynamic is that, you know, Poison showed up at the end and cleaned up all of those players who were already busy doing other tasks versus he being the one cleaned up or his teammates being the ones that were cleaned up in the process. 3 seconds left. This is an important one. Team Zenith could go up 2-0 here just with one secure point fight. They are fighting against some ults on the side of Ferocity and, of course, the comeback mechanic, which will give them nearly twice the capture rate here and really provide an opportunity for them to secure this with just 1 point fight.
I mean, once again, same start, except no Evil Mojo as of yet. Still held onto. But it's going to be up to whether or not they can find the kills. Stigma's going to be able to get rid of Watkins, and that is like the perfect start. You get rid of the sniper, and now you're right behind him. This is the Sky
What
play.
a hook. Great stuff, Gore. You're absolutely right. I mean, they just used the Sky to augment what Poison was doing. They get the disengage on a Watkins, a little bit of burst damage. He's half health, forced to repositions right into the danger zone. And there it is.
Last game we were talking about Jalen Sanity kind of like having, admittedly, a lackluster game. The Fernando just didn't feel like it did anything. I actually almost forgot what champion he was playing because he didn't really accomplish anything. This has been a nice, I want to say, like, return. You come back, you're on Makoa. That might, on its own, make it a little bit easier to make a bigger impact, but just showing, like, I'm not dead weight for the team. I'm actually, like, I'm here to play. I'm here to be able to showcase the strengths.
Yeah.
We just didn't have a good draft last time around. We're holding on as best we can, and I mean, now they're potentially able to tie it up.
Jalen's a great player. He's a guy I've seen do so well, and he's multifaceted. He could play a Maldamba or a Grover with the best of them. And I think at this point, he's also flexing onto this frontline role for this team, and it is proving to be successful when he's on a champion that can help use his skills, his talents, to the biggest effect. You know, he doesn't need to be on a Fernando, hold the shield up, and just throw a fireball every 5 seconds now or every 10 seconds. It's just not getting the most out of him as a player, and I'm glad that they recognize that here in this draft.
Watkins finally able to get a return kill, though. There's going to be Kerfluffle going down as well. That's, I think, the hardest part about this is you break the halfway point on this push, much like most teams are able to do. That's the smooth part.
Yes.
Once you hit here is where, oh, look, nice open. There's a Kinessa who literally will see every move. There's no door that you can really sneak past here to try and get to her. You have to deal with her head on. And that's where Sky kind of loses her effectiveness, but you start to see Cassie maybe step up in trying to box her out. But it's just Watkins especially with the way he's been playing, you can't really take that trade.
Well, this perch is so difficult, too, because there's no way for Sky to actually get up to contest Kinessa and be in fighting mid-range boxing range because she has to go up the staircase behind the arch right there.
Yeah.
She has to get through the entire team. Stealth usually just isn't enough to do that, and Watkins already spots around. I'd love to see the items here and see if Illuminate has been purchased. Have they? Yeah, and look at that. The whole team has gone into Illuminate, except for Mage Monkey and Baller Steve. The reason you could see multiple teammates grab it and some of the others not, A, might be priority. You might be the one dying, or you might be the one who's okay. You're not going to get aggressed on early. But the thing is, in comms, you can tell someone once you see the Sky, hey, she's right here. Then everybody knows. You don't need Illuminate, because your teammate's actually calling it out to you in voice.
And we've seen a few plays like that from Zenith, and I mean, already being able to go into that itemization makes it a lot easier for them to pick
roll.
Baller, Steve, Ninny, they're going down. This payload's going into overtime.
I love the patience there. Poison has the option to roll forward or backwards. He rolls backwards, saves his life again, doesn't get too aggressive, but just knows that they're in a decent position. Let's try to get that advantage one more time and not, you know, kind of count our chickens before they hatch. Flame Effects now is a problem, but here's the time bomb. They're going for it, and Mage Monkey's probably going to find it. Actually, no, he gets clipped by it, but he gets healed up, bursted by the pip heal. Flame Effects is proving to be so difficult on these holds. The damage, the healing, just the burst that he's able to provide, and still no answer for him. But it looks like there's a lot of members of Ferocity ready to finish him off. But again, a beautiful play. Watkins with the kill, but this Kinessa cannot hold for so long. Another stun, and the push is successful. 3-3, we're going to one round takes all.
Ferocity had the wherewithal to hold on to every ult. None of them got forced, but Zenith didn't use any for the defense. And that, honestly, I think is a little bit worse. You have Ferocity, I think they used the time bomb at the very end. So Sky's coming into this without her huge burst through shields, which admittedly she doesn't really need. That's not the style they've been going for. If I see Stigma loop around the way he did last time and Poison come up and just pincer people,
Yeah.
that's going to be a clean fight. Jalen has his ultimate as well, the Ancient Rage, if necessary. And so it's going to be up to Zenith. I mean, they kind of have to change the style they approach this fight with, or they need to use the Evil Mojo a little bit earlier to deal with those threats faster.
Absolutely. A lot of defensive items being prioritized after the initial cauterized buys here for Ferocity and Team Zenith. Kerfluffle and Sigma going in for the Resilience 2s here. Jalen Sanity content, a little Rejuvenate on that side. He's just pressuring out Watkins. Why would ya? And did he get the cooldown? No, not yet, but Watkins is not in a good spot. I'll tell you that. Ninny finds a double on his own. Ferocity now down 2 players, but Makoa has done so much. It has still kept things even. 21% though for Zenith in control.
Being able to sit down and Nara's still alive, and admittedly in a better position just because where everyone on Ferocity is gone.
That's the backline.
Yes, they're going to be able to catch off a Kinessa if she just runs straight to the point, but communication, again, that's going to be key. You should know they're there, and that should kind of create this little pincer effect, at least keeping things going. But that is going to be a Dread Servant, and it looks like Makoa is going to get aggressive on it.
I mean, Baller Steve could be in trouble here. He's got the Vine, but I think he knows where you're going. There's no hidden rooftop to hang out on. It's just the do-si-do here, ring around the rosy, but Baller Steve knows that Child's Play may be over in a few seconds if they can find the last kill, but Mage Monkey with a huge stun is going to set things up. The Ancient Rage into the Poison, the Time Bomb just setting things up to maybe be a killer combo, but it's immuned out by so many, and then he doesn't take the full damage. Jalen Sanity bit off more than he could chew, and it looks to be just the Sky who can contest. Gore, I think this one is still going the way of Team Zenith.
Doing whatever she can, tries to get back. A lot of the members now are in that position, but you can see at this point you're throwing bodies onto a point that's gone. You're going to do your best, but you're not going to be able to buy enough time.
Unfortunate. The time bomb couldn't buy the time that they needed. They spent it all on the bomb.
True.
That's going to be a 2-0.
Little known fact, how it works is you actually have to take time off of your own life.
That's right.
To fuel the bomb.
Yeah. It's like the Death Note, where if you want to see the eyes of the other person, you know, or how old they are, and you can, you know, sacrifice half your life to be able to do so. It's just one of those things where you got to give a little to get a little. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. Sky died a little earlier than they wanted to. And that bomb didn't do enough, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and Watkins, I mean, over 100K once again on this Kinessa. Not as nearly clean of a slash line for him, but is definitely looking really, really good in terms of his play style. And Ferocity, I mean, it's just that area where that was brilliantly fought. They adjusted really well.
It was.
It was just at the very end, they kind of got caught off guard. They focused so much on Watkins that the rest of the fights didn't go their way.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting tale. Watkins has played Kinessa 2 games in a row on 2 maps that serve her. What happens when we get on a Jaguar Falls? Or what happens if we get onto a Bright Marsh? And it's not an option. Where will the performance take them? And how will this translate? Something Ferocity is going to have to figure out now. Nice shots, though, man.
The Kinessa, honestly, to me, feels a little fresh. The first game today on Warder's Gate, Watkins brought out a quadra kill on Tyra. And it's just like, if you have that kind of performance, if you can guarantee, I want to say as a DPS, like 4 champions that you can play at that level, you're set. Yeah, like, I mean, that's really all you need, because they're not going to be able to ban you out. You're Rock Monkey. Yeah. You can just smooth.
You get about 4 or 5 that are just all dominant. That's what you need.
It's like I got a Leon, I got a Cassie, I got a Tyra, I got a Victor, and I got snipers. There you go. That's 6 champions. You're set.
A lot of the same maps here in North America. The reason you'll see this is because teams scrim each other behind the scenes, and typically, whatever is the map that a lot of teams are scrimming, you know, you're going to see prioritized here. If no one's scrimming Splitstone, not a lot of people are scrimming Ice Mines, maybe not a lot of people scrimming Bright Marsh, you may not see people taking a Bright Marsh. And it's not just because they feel like, oh, well, we can catch them off guard. It's because we'd rather do something comfortable in a moment where it matters. So sticking to your guns, sticking to what you trust yourself in, that's why you see a lot of these similar maps in regions. Europe a little different with what they prioritize.
4 front lines and Inara finally getting banned out. And I feel like that's the one that is the most deserving, right? Makoa, it makes sense. He does a lot. Torvald enables a ton. Yeah. And Khan provides a lot of healing, damage, as well as control with his ult. But Inara is always that one that slips through here. You're just like, you know, if you just ban her, it becomes so much easier for you to deal with the other team.
Yeah, it becomes a way different game. But the problem that I've seen is that Ferocity then end up taking, you know, Fernando and not having the same impact that they would have seen with an Ashe or a Barrack. They're getting their priority on their Grover heals. But for Zenith, what they're showing is, give me Grover, give me Maldamba. I'm going to ball, as Baller Steve likes to do, with either of them. So, Bomb King, adjusting things. I like that a lot. And it is a beefy lineup from Ferocity here.
Very similar front lines, and so far lineup from Zenith that they had earlier, where they once again went against a Bomb King on Stone Keep, and even after they won the first 2 games, they lost that one. And it is that Bomb King pressure, and I believe what we will see out of the Ruckus as well. You're going to need that last carry to be something ridiculous, and they are going to have a phenomenal performance to help keep this under wraps.
Ruckus has been notably missing quite a bit in these games. Yeah. And I do like the pickup from Ferocity. That could change that can make all the difference, because, you know, you have a little bit of pressure here and there and some sustain with Fernando, but now you got a lot of pressure with the Ruckus. So maybe, you know, a pressure kind of approach to these point fights is going to serve Ferocity well. They're going to have to change something up, though, because it is 2-0, and they are about to go down if Zenith grab this last one. It would be 2 in a row for Zenith, and that would be looking good heading into these standings for the qualification.
A lot that can go right, a lot that can go wrong, and Ferocity have brought the devastation for this one. I'd say Bomb King is enough of a just stellar champion, damage dealer, whatever you want to call him, King himself, that he can turn a game, and it's Poison who is going to be piloting that. So a lot, so much that can go right for this team. Whereas Watkins, as well as I'm going to say Flame, they have to have a game like no other in order to make this work out. They have to be able to focus down Poison first and foremost while dealing with Stigma and the pressure from Ruckus. There's just so much that's going to be coming through for them. Against them.
Poison throwing that King Bomb up on top. Setting up for a very nice kind of approach here on the high balcony. Things looking good. A lot of shields in play. And a good kill on the Baller Steve. That's going to set things up really nicely. And Poison already feeling very comfortable on the King.
I mean, this is the setup you want. This is actually quite literally where you want everyone to be if you're Bomb King. Yeah, you're not going to be getting any kills, but it means that they're afraid of you, and they know that you are going to be a threat. They're trying to work their way around and worm through to get back to the point. And this is the deficit I feel like you see when you have an Ashe, when you have a Barrack, and those are the only 2 front lines you get. You just don't have the same standing power underneath all of the firepower that is coming through from Zenith. Or from Ferocity onto Zenith, I should say. And with the way things are going right now, I mean, Poison literally just has to stay alive. Jalen doesn't even need to get the kill there, but he's putting his name on the board.
54% counting here for Ferocity. And another fall for Ninny. Stigma, Poison looking real good to start this one off. Will we see what happened last matchup where Zenith have a great start, but game 3 ends up haunting them a little bit. Looks like at least the first point should be contested. Overtime ticking away. What can happen here? That's a couple of good shots onto the Ruckus. Can't quite die. Poison again trades out, but Watkins gets a little action here. What is going to be made out of this?
Well, so far it's 99% in overtime. And it's good bombs, not quite good enough. Stigma, though, going to be able to clean up the slack. And now it's just hellfire from above. That's what they needed. And I feel like Zenith just don't have the right stone keep strategy in their mind in order to make this make sense. Because the same thing happened the last time they were playing this. Although last time, I think they were able to make it a little bit closer. It's just they don't know how to deal with the Bomb King. They seem to ignore him most of the time. And they go for the Pip, the Cassie, they have the Barrack once again. It's all a very, very similar, if not the same draft. The only one I'm confused about is maybe if Ash was on that team. And the same things that happened before are causing them trouble here. It's almost as though, like, you lay your hand on a hot stove, you think, man, this burns. You pull it off, and then 5 minutes later, you do the exact same thing. You're setting your hand back down onto the stove, setting yourself up potentially for failure just because you didn't learn. Maybe you don't have the Bomb King. Something is just not going right for them here.
Minute 37 now on the clock as the push continues. Team Zenith trying to find their answer for all of this. Ferocity is in a good spot to at least find some rhythm, and that's something that you want to have at least at some point in the set. If you haven't had it already, it may feel a little too late, but sometimes it feels like finally we've been pushing towards this moment where we feel confident, and now we do. So you may see some more aggressive plays. You may see this Ruckus start to pay more dividends. I think in the hands of Jalen Sanity, again, putting him on more of an aggressive style and giving Kerfluffle, who does like the Inara, who does do well on the Fernando, that role, I think, has really helped them to have a little bit more pressure on the offensive side of things.
I mean, there's just, I'm trying to think what positioning, what they're going for, Zenith, but it seems like, again, they're scattered all over the place. They're not taking the fights they should be. They're trying to get too aggressive. Watkins finally gets a return kill, looking to kind of loop around, but Jalen's just going to start putting the pressure on the Baller Steve. Now you don't have the healing.
That is going to be a problem. Ninny here taking so many headshots. Jalen Sanity looking good on this Ruckus as of now. I think this is going to be a nice start for these Ferocity boys here on Stone Keep. But can they keep it going? That's the question. You got to get the 2-0, I think, to really feel good about this round and really keep the momentum riding. Take a look at some of the items here. Has anyone gotten to that tier 2 for Colorado? Yes, they have. So Mage Monkey for Zenith has been able to do so, and Jalen Sanity has done enough damage to be able to get to that. Kerfluffle has plenty of credits. In fact, getting close to that tier 3, to be honest, but he has not gone back to base. He's been staying alive this entire time, and that's a good problem on his end.
All right, now, though, he's in a precarious situation. Going to be doing whatever he can to hold on to this overtime. That's going to be a Bomb King to the back. Definitely need to go see a doctor for that one. Ninny going to get sent back to the base. A nice Dread Serpent trying to buy some space. But Kerfluffle is definitely still standing, still has his Immortal, still ready to keep going, but no team behind him. And I think that's going to be enough for him to not really want to pop any ults.
And that is really going to, I don't know, be a quell in what was a at least minor wave of motion here. And Stigma having a good round on the Victor, back to what feels like a comfort pick for him. And if he can get this high ground, if they can continue with that core, this will be a nice kind of way to approach this secondary fight. But Mage Monkey 0-4. I don't know how long that's going to last. Ninny 0-3 as well. Two champions that are kind of known for being able to get some kills in the frontline role.
Everything they would have needed, but still going 1-1. No Evil Mojo available. I feel like that's the big ult that you really need. A lot of things that were used by Zenith in that round that unfortunately unable to recharge, and now because of it you're fighting against a 4v none ultimate economy. Things definitely in favor of Ferocity. They're the 1% for this fight, and they don't even need to use any of it. The thing that's been catching my eye is the fact that Poison has just been so unrelenting with this damage. King Bomb's going to be his finisher. King Bomb's going to be the, oh, they're grouped up. I can fully use this to its best effect. He doesn't need it half the time. Yes, Zenith are at 42%, but they don't really have a safe place to stand.
Yeah, and I think that's where you're going to see this fight kind of start to be a little bit that ring around the rosy we talked about. They're almost on other sides now because they just kept rotating. and they're trying to just get that pick that lets them say, okay, now we can move in, and the Ash is going for it. And I like this from Mage Monkey. He's just creating the space. He goes in for the ult. It's just something's got to happen, and his team now is trying to just adjust. Watkins going around the outside, hasn't found the angles yet, but here's the King Bomb, and they isolate Nitty, but here comes Flame, and he can't quite find the kill on the poison. This could be an aggressive play that just doesn't work out, even though Jalen Sanity does fall to Watkins.
And that's Zenith's entire plan, was hold on, rotate, do whatever, until our ults are up. We have them up, we can get aggressive, we jump in, and they all fell flat. Literally every single one of them didn't accomplish what they wanted. Dread Serpent's still not charged, Dome Shield's still not charged. They might have a chance to get back, but that objective's going to be captured. They're looking more for another defense than they are looking aggressive. That evil Mojo, so close, but so far away.
Yeah, felt like some thunder or an earthquake just happened here in our building. So me and Gore both looked at each other for a moment, and everything is okay. Nothing's collapsing, at least right now. So if I stop talking, you'll know that.
You know, we've got through. Evan actually did just get crushed
Evan just
entirely
got crushed,
by
the way.
the ceiling.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the show must go on.
The show must
luckily,
go on.
his reanimated corpse is
You
sat
hate
back
to
up.
see it, yeah. Let's talk about this. Let's take a loadout tour here. No, I'm kidding. I mean, we can.
We can. I'd
I'd
actually love to see what Watkins is running. I mean, typically big game Cassie territorial, that's nothing too out there. Drain Life is still the one that's really interesting to me because I feel like I see a lot of these big games, and it really is just I need a little bit of health. I can hit this blast shot, no problem. I just need a little bit of health, a little bit of self-sustain, similar to what we've started seeing in Leon loadouts.
I mean, you know, it's a large amount of healing when you consider hitting multiple people a lot. And, and in a team fight, it can be that little thing that your healer, you know, she needs to focus on your tank. She needs to get that little, you know, Mending Spirit or that Blossom in an area you can't be, but you can get your own 1,000 healing. And if you can do that, you take so much pressure off of that support trying to get to everybody, and he can focus on a couple of key targets knowing that you're going to be okay.
Unfortunately, how okay are you going to be when Bomb King is just chilling? I mean, he's just relaxed. He's throwing bombs. Like, finally, a little bit of damage is going his way, but I don't think I've seen anyone more comfortable on Bomb King in a while with the way things are going. I expect to see
a great Bomb King.
Very similar play when the PPL does finally return, but as it is right now, it's a lot of poison just kind of dancing on the side of the keep.
And I think he's running Royal Subjects, and this is what Nick and I were talking about the other day. Royal Subjects in this map, as the talent is so strong because of the poke pressure that you can provide. Around the corners, that is such a strong thing in this map specifically because there's so many little angles that, you know, he can't hit them if they go into this room. But if he's got Royal Subjects, that blast radius is going to keep them cauterized, keep them going down. It's going to be a problem. They're going to like, okay, I need a heal, I need to get out of here. Something has to happen. And it just, to me, a lot of times works a lot better than Chain Reaction and Stone Keep specifically. Look at that. That's the kill right there.
And he's been playing the same angle. Now he's going to go for the King Bomb. He's looking for a stun. Going to be able to find it, no problem. Going to be able to throw the Grumpy Bomb out. But there is a Dread Serpent to just try and delay things. Unfortunately, it doesn't, you know, reverse death.
Yeah. Reverse death. You know, I think Ferocity, I'm glad they're having this because they're clearly a good team. They've got a lot of good moments. And Zenith, for whatever reason, especially in that Frozen Guard game, maybe felt like they reversed some of the momentum that seemed to be happening for Ferocity. Now they've got that 3-1 push. Stigma's been really hard to deal with. Poison's been really hard to deal with. I really think the big thing is Flame on this pit. It's been a consistent pick for him. 2 and 5. I mean, that's not what we're used to seeing. We're seeing him go positive by quite a mile. He's had a tough matchup here.
I'm going to say no matter the outcome of today, Zenith, whatever your progression is, whether it's into the minor league or if it's into, you know, community tournaments, wherever path you take, practice some Stone Keep. Because like so far, 2 times in a row and 2 sets, that has been your falter. Get a Bomb King under your belt because that is something that has been just such a huge deficit for them. And again, while that's working out so great for Poison, it's just because you haven't picked it, you didn't ban it, you didn't play against it. Like, there's so many things that could be fulfilled by a Bomb King that are not being fulfilled by this pill.
Yeah, it feels like they don't know how they want to fight. And Mage Monkey's just been fodder, really. He's just, not fodder, it's not a good thing. He's playing a role for this team. It's a hard role. It's a lot of deaths. It's putting himself in very precarious situations with little chance of survival. But he's trying to create space. But the space hasn't been taken well. And it's not been, nothing's been done with it. They've tried. And here's a Hexfire that they don't get anything out of. So this is maybe a start. This is maybe a start for Team Zenith now, seeing, okay, Jalen Sanity doesn't have that. Wanted that ult to go away. Maybe we can Evil Mojo here. We build that up and turn this around.
At least get aggressive on him. They're going to be able to come around the corner looking for Jalen. The shield's going to be good, but it's not going to be good enough. Watkins burns through that one, but it's still 99 to 46. They need a lot more, and that Evil Mojo is still not charged up.
And that Whirlwind might have just sealed the deal right there. I mean, that was so good. Va was dead to rights, and then he gets a full heal back. Now they've got to touch because it's 99 to 99, and Va goes ahead and does the dang thing. Ferocity going to take this W, and Zenith again going to have to practice some Stone Keep.
Yeah, they really need to.
Yeah.
That's honestly, that's my takeaway right now.
That's all you got.
When you're Ferocity,
that's all
again,
you have.
I was this guy last time.
Wow.
I hate to be this guy again. You got to win 2 more in order to make the big difference, although it is impressive. But, I mean, what's up with your Stone Keep if you're Zenith at this point?
For one,
That's a genuine question. What's up with it?
Gore's toxic, not me,
toxic.
so it's cool. I'm not complaining about anybody's play.
Toxic gamers.
Toxic kid. You're so toxic, or
I was being told the other day that our 4-man caster queue into
was toxic.
all the into randoms was a toxic queue. We
Was
were
it?
toxic gamers.
Well, it was all because of Gore carrying on Bomb King. And Poison said, I saw that game. I got inspired. I learned to play Bomb King after Gore Miser. I modeled my play after him, and look at this, 11-2 and 14. What now?
What now?
What now?
Play more Bomb King. That's, I think, the only solution.
Get
I can't
good,
think
kid.
of a map. There's that's not true. There are a couple of maps that are, like, not good for Bomb King.
Yeah.
But for a lot of the Siege maps, like, you can make him work. Some, like Stone Keep, Jaguar Falls, definitely work a lot better than others. You're not going to really want to whip him out on a stone or a split stone quarry, but still can make it work.
Yeah.
You just got to, hashtag get good.
You got to hashtag get good. Man. Is this the season of Toxic Gore Miser?
Is this the season? Nah, I'm gonna really back. I gotta pull it back in.
I mean, you were like the nice guy, and now you're just hating on everybody. Amazing.
I'm terrible at the game. That's what makes up for
Sure.
it.
Let's move into the next maps, guys. Come on, I can't stand this. Like,
man, this is actually a genuine story. The other day, actually not the other day, yesterday I think it was. We came in. And Anthony, I didn't realize that Anthony was behind us, or behind me while I was walking through. And I realized too late, before I could, like, grab the door to hold it open, and I saw him come through, and I was like, no, I could have been the one. Like, and I genuinely think that is, like, the Canadian part of Katie rubbing off on me, where I was like, I was distraught for 5 minutes because I didn't hold the door open.
Wow, and you had to then tell that story on broadcast so that he could hear it.
He can hear it
and forgive you internally for any grief you may have caused.
Yeah, no, I doubt he would.
We're hearing,
There's
actually,
no reason
I'm
to
getting a sideline report.
How dare I not hold the door open?
Gore Miser. So more on that set 3 if we
see, those are the moments that
resolution.
balance out
Thanks,
the
back to
toxicity,
you.
though.
They are. But he didn't forgive you, so
no. So
yeah,
it's still toxic gamer.
Yeah, I think it was also the fact that you chose churro as a scent or something in here, and he just questioned your life.
It smelled
up
really
until
good.
this point. Yeah,
I wanted churros the rest of that day.
It's like
I haven't gotten it.
It's like, hey, yeah, I've got like a cotton candy flavor, and then he's not really assuming you're gonna pick it, but then you do, and he's like, wow, this is a unique human being.
And he's like, oh, so
you want to smell
kind of
cotton candy
you're a cotton candy guy, huh? All right, well,
so that's you.
We're not going to get along here. Sorry. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, listen, the potion seller knows many things that we don't. That's why he's selling the potions and we're not.
Speaking of selling potions, to Saris, I don't know if her... I guess it's magic. It's abyssal magic of some sort or another. But it kind of looks like a potion if you squint at it real hard.
It looks like a lantern. Really? But I mean, a big old potion.
Better potion. Pip. How about potions? He's got like 3 of them.
He does.
At least.
He does. He has. Okay, so wait a second. So So Pip obviously has explosive flask, which is a potion.
Yep.
Evil Mojo, which is a potion. Now, what is his normal potion?
What if it's literally just water, and he's just like, the only thing that makes it really deadly is the fact that he's shooting glass bottles.
I know.
And it's like, it shatters,
my
like,
feet.
oh.
Oh, God. And then basically, like, they just, it's totally distracting.
He's got something like Windex in there.
He might.
So the glass cuts him open, the Windex gets in the wound. I'm
yeah.
assuming that hurts. I've never had it
Bleach.
happen, but it sounds like it'd be painful.
Just like a bunch of...
Theory crafting Pip's weapon. How does it work? Can we make this?
Gore Miser on the Paladins.
And what if... Well, no, I guess Weightless, because you hear a potion cue. I was going to say, like, what if Weightless isn't like a potion? He just has really, really good jumps, but he can only channel it for a little bit.
I mean, I believe it. I think you all would too, as we continue to speculate about things, Realm and otherwise. That could be a show, Realm and otherwise. Jalen Sanity here, running the shoulder bash. We'll see if that sticks. Battering ram kind of used to be the thing, but not really anymore. Big game really feeds into that well because it's just a standing still Ashe who likes to do that because, you know, she gets the damage reduction, but it just makes it so easy to set up what is a 6-second period of bonus damage. And now they have the Tyra going through. This is that moment. You said Watkins kind of had some success already. He's really happy about it now.
He's pushing him out, making sure he's showing him that he has the strength. And I'll also say this is the first time I've seen Baller Steve not on Grover or Maldamba, so I'm interested to see how this Saris holds up. So far, the healing has been on point.
Uh-oh.
And I think that's going to be the way that Saris is running in Season 2.
Flanks are coming, though. I'll tell you that. Flanks are a-coming. The Zen here for Ferocity could be doing quite a lot for this team, but Poison and Jalen Sanity bringing it back. Poison with a double kill here. Curious just the way Stigma's holding that last swing, but hey, doing what he needs to do. You can delay it quite a while, and maybe that's just what he's trying to min-max. Flame effects, yep, gets hit for the 850. Oh, it gets the kill. That's what Yomi will do for you. Goes right through the Inara. Double kill as well. How dare I question this man's swing rotation? He seems to have it all.
I mean, I was thinking of the Victor performance that we've seen. Last game it was nice. The first game we saw it didn't really do anything for me. This is what I've been missing, is Stigma having a big impact, right?
Yeah.
Poison has showcased his talents. We've seen him in the PPL before. He's not a player that is unfamiliar, but Stigma has a little bit more that he has to show off, and this is exactly what you need.
I mean, it's just, it looks so like, you know, when a lot of people play Zen, it's not rushed, but he's got a lot of ammo. You don't, reload's not a big thing. You know, you just get a lot out of Zen, and you don't have to min-max it this hard. But he feels like every single swing is so important to him, and I'm actually really liking to see that. Flame Effects finds a kill on the Stigma, but Watkins still goes down. The Zen play has been phenomenal, and you're right, Stigma having that kind of a moment. Unfortunately, the Convergence not going to do much at all for Team Zenith. Won't pull anyone, and here's the Seismic Crash to try to follow up on that. A lot of combo potential, you could tell, just with those two ultimates not happening right at the same time, but back-to-back. Could be very deadly if they end up hitting.
Right now, I'd say it's the damage. Can you get rid of Jalen before he gets rid of Yor and Nara? But they're going for the stagger, and I appreciate the patience coming down from them. And, I mean, you can see it. Full 5 seconds behind anybody respawning. It's going to take them forever, not only to regroup, but to get back to the payload.
Totally.
But very similar to Frog Isle, very similar to earlier maps that we saw. Not a very long walk around on Bright Marsh. It is a little bit wider horizontally than some of the others, but this push doesn't take a long time to get around.
Well, look at this. All is good in the hood for Poison. He finds himself a kill on the Mage Monkey, who... Let's take a look at these KDAs real quick as well. Appreciate the responsiveness. Mage Monkey has been having just it's a tough role. You know, we talked about on NIP, you know, Koa used to do this role for them. And obviously just, you know, been playing at that level for a long time. Mage Monkey wanting to get there, still proving himself at this higher level, this echelon of play. But, man, it's tough to be that guy that has to create the space, that has to hold the shield up while 4 people shoot at you, while you're hoping your teammates bail you out. If he could bring more, just like we said, can Jalen Sanity bring more, find a couple of kills on his own, I think that could change the dynamic too. There's a lot of things that this set is kind of balancing on.
And Ferocity, if they can just keep playing at this level, I think is really like games 1, game 2, you could kind of see, I want to say like hints of it. There were moments of it.
Yeah.
This is, but just a higher team level, I guess, than they had in those games. They're actually playing what feels like together, as opposed to just playing the 5 champions the way you normally would. Unfortunately, they're still under the duress that is the damage coming from the base of Zenith. But they seem to be shrugging it off just fine. Poison's getting a ton of lob shots from the backline.
Yeah, he certainly is. 5 streak going for him, and as you can see, Ninny looking to go down as the rest of Ferocity push through in a beautiful, beautiful fashion. A lot of the attempts here from Watkins early was to get Poison off of this high ground, but Poison has proven to be a very strong blaster player and flex player in the damage role. From a Cassie to a Shaolin to a Bomb King to a Pip. He is extremely successful, and we even seen him play Eevee today in a good-looking fashion. This has been a tour de force for Jalen Sanity's champion pool.
Watkins started that game off, and I will say, because his Tyra last set looked incredible. He's 0-5. He started that game off getting a ton of damage into Ashe, and Jalen dashed out and then dashed away. And then when Jalen finally re-engaged, he kills the healer. You just saw Poison coming around getting a bunch of kills right there. He's 10-1 right now.
I like it.
They need to figure out what exactly this Tyra is trying to accomplish, and they need to do it fast.
And I love this approach. I mean, what are you going to do now? Y'all have to back off. It's smart for them to back off, but you know what? Jalen Sanity's not letting them. This is what I love when he's on these aggressive champions. He can make plays like this. Great decision from Stigma, because you know what you do? You cut out the shield. Mage Monkey now is in a problem. He's going to die soon unless somebody bails him out, and it is Watkins. He's able to go ahead and save the day, but Stigma finds Watkins, and meanwhile, they've got someone just on the point, collecting credits, collecting percentage. Poison here enjoying himself, and it's a 3-0. This is looking like a dominant game for Ferocity.
And that was just a good example. If you're ever a Maldamba who's kind of alone on the point, your team's not quite responding to the person who's aggressing on you, you got a Dread Serpent, you throw that out, you create a lot of space for yourself. That was no overtime specifically because of the play from Ferocity's support, making sure that there's enough space.
Yeah.
They could turn this into a 4-0. They could go from a very sloppy first game to 4-0ing in game 4.
They really, really could. And, you know, it could be just the sign of, you know, momentum being built. What we saw with Team Zenith before is they let this happen, and then they found their momentum on, you know, in another match, right? And I think this goes to speak to the talent, the caliber of the players here. They're so even that the right lineup or the right map determines the win, not necessarily the 5 players playing against one another, but that does also mean that there's an opportunity to step up if you are a player in this matchup, to carry this game. And so far, the big step up for me, Poison's played great, but Stigma's kind of had a big performance in this one.
I mean, a lot of everything they've been able to do. Stigma, I think, kind of piloting the backline, although a lot of the kill credit has been going the way.
Did Watkins get a kill this
Poison,
whole game?
But that was just... That was a slaughter. That was literally chickens to the slaughter.
It really was. No, literally.
Oof.
Yeah, chickens to the fire. It's not a saying, but it was, you know,
grilling the chicken.
Grilling chicken,
something like that.
I really, really like Ferocity's bounce back there, and now it's another 5-game set going to distance.
10 in a row, baby.
10
Group
in a row,
A.
baby. Group A, 10 in a row. They did not disappoint.
If Zenith come through here, then that map 3 Stone Keep was both times. They got to get Stone Keep under wraps. A lot of people seem to like going there, and then they can potentially turn these into 3-0s. If they don't, then I think they're going to feel what is the wrath. I mean, right there, Stigma went 8-1. Watkins was able to do not too much, but it was Poison, I would say, on the one side, 12-1-10, who was creating a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and I like everything that I saw. It's a good sign to see Poison again, feeling good on this Pip. It's one of his more comfort picks. We've actually seen him even at LAN doing this quite well. They were actually doing some Maldamba and Pip combos back then, before duo support was really common. And this is just a great showcase of how they've kept up with the understanding of how to do that here. And a great counter from Stigma. I mean, he really created so much pressure and followed up on a lot of kills with that Yomi. So I'm excited to see them. What map will we see next? Will we see Jaguar Falls? Is that banned out? It is.
That is banned.
So it'll be Warder's Gate. Okay.
They've hit, except for Bright Marsh, 4 out of the 5 maps they did in the last set being able to come through.
No Timber Mill.
No Timber Main. Oh, man. No Ice Mines.
Shucks.
Can't believe it. Oh, what a tragedy this is on this day, Tuesday the
We don't usually do this.
5th.
But let's add another best of 3 just so we can get Timber Mill, Ice Mines, and, Ascension Peak in here for you guys. Let's do it. Gore, where are you going? Listen, it was a joke. I'm sorry. There are labor laws
I came back
in the United States. He wouldn't be happy with that. 13 sets in a row for Gore.
I'll do the games. They just can't be on those maps.
Just can't be on those maps. Like, I'll put the time in, just not there.
Please not.
I mean, I'll do reasonable requests, just not something ridiculous like that. Playing a map in this game. Kidding me?
Why would you ever?
I'm gonna watch Timber Mill.
Actually, you know what? Timber Mill, I don't mind.
Okay. Ice Mines, though.
Ice Mines gets me. I feel like I need a little break. In a couple weeks, when Ice Mines comes back, inevitably, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, okay. Zen, Maldamba, Ash here for Zenith. Ferocity with a Bomb King and Aura. The bands really focus around Grover and the uniqueness of that one. Not much else to say because everything else is pretty standard. The Zen, though, for Zenith, clearly seeing how successful that was for Sigma. Take it away early. And the Fernando's still going to be going over to the Ferocity side with Jalen Sanity be piling that most likely with Poison on the Bomb King, Kerfluffle on the Inara.
I honestly, personally, I feel a little bit more towards Zenith on this draft. This is very, very similar.
So.
Again, if not exactly what they ran the first time they went through the Warriors Gate.
I think so.
Leon's really good at the range. She's really good at dealing with a lot of the champions on the side. Zen can clean up anybody she can't. But Bomb King's the one that's kind of throwing me for a loop. I don't know how exactly he can perform on this map. I haven't personally gotten to play him here. And it might be Ferocity's kind of comfort. It might just be that he's, still really solid as long as you try him wherever you want.
Yeah, I think he's a really solid pick for Poison here. And you could tell that they felt themselves. That was the first game they kind of got excited about their chances of winning this. This would be huge if they could grab this W. You know it. Ferocity are really making sure that they give their best effort here. And no matter what happens, this 5-game set has given some highlights for us as Paladins viewers, fans, and just general enjoyers of this esport. Warriors Gate, the newest map in the game, is going to be where it all ends as these teams get ready to head out to battle one last time.
The thing that's on my mind is how Poison actually will approach the beginning fight.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of teams, again, hug one side or the other. Typically, one team will use like the bounce pad, the elevator, whatever you want to call it, to get up to one side. And does Bomb King need to do that? Will he get aggressive on the side? He's going to instead be looking potentially for Zenith to come aggressive to him, but instead the teams are just going to loop around each other.
Poison holding down this right side. This left side, actually. Backing off, getting a little bit of flight from the crystals on Warriors Gate. That unique kind of map mechanic, but Watkins finds Poison, and that hit scan, that imminent style, it's so deadly, but Baller Steve's going to fall, and that's huge. Now they have no sustain. They have to fight with, whatever they've been given offensively because they will not be healed for a little while, and this is a moment where I don't know. The collapse is happening. It took a little longer than I would have expected. Watkins hiding underneath. Nini finally going to get approached. Watkins most likely going to be able to slide somewhere. Is it enough to get back out? Baller Steve is here, but not enough time. Ferocity taking the first point on Warriors Gate, keeping this momentum strong.
Being able to kind of ride through everything they've needed, and honestly showcasing one thing that I think a lot of teams still need to be able to get under their belt, and a lot of teams typically that we've actually seen, maybe even if you just go back last week, struggling with. Yeah. You cut off the support. If you kill him off, there's no one to keep everyone up. Yeah. All of a sudden, it's a lot easier. Hey, that damage you just did to the barrack, he either has to get out of the fight for like 5 seconds, or you kill him. Yeah. It's either permanent or just a little bit more time than he would really like to spend out of the game. So you're set, and honestly, you keep rolling, you keep this kind of aggression up, you keep the pressure on the Zenith that you have. Yeah. And you could find this potentially as a 4-0.
Enlightenment also whiffing there for Watkins, so he doesn't get the cooldown, 50% back for getting a kill. And he also gets traded on, unfortunately, to give and cede the space over to Poison. It's going to be harder and harder to take that away from the Bomb King now that he has angles to play and he has high ground. Va giving him some nice little healing, goes for the convergence, which again whiffs. There are a lot of shields out on the battlefield, and of course line of sight and shields both block the convergence. So to get that one perfectly, you do have to line a few things up.
Couple of good bombs here. Barrack going to be able to escape Nini, staying alive as long as he can. Poison, I feel like, is just waiting to pull this trigger. It's 97% until you have that King Bomb, and that is what I think he's waiting on.
Oh, they almost Poppy bombed him into an interesting spot. Looked like he might have gone in that room. Even Poison thought so. And that would have meant you could body block him out. It would have been a full lockdown from where he was. This should be a kill. Watkins going to clean up Poison yet again, get some revenge. And actually, I think they're just going to fall off. That was intentional. They want to reset as 5 and come back at it with one more shot to push.
They have King Bomb. They're going to have a seismic crash. They used Immortal during that last engagement, though, and that's the downside. I feel like it might have come too late because I didn't even realize that it was popped until I looked at the charge for it. 13% is not a high number, and so if it did come through, it wasn't in time to save anybody that they were intending it for. Convergence hasn't been hitting these last couple games. Neither support really able to pull it out to full effect. But that one combo, once it comes through, is going to make such a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can get a wall off here and just put Ninny in a bad spot. He does have the Dome Shield, which is why he's not too scared. And it feels like he'd be willing to use it. Jalen Sanity in trouble. Good. Well, Michael Jackson, moonwalk towards the backside, holding up the shield for Watkins, who was shooting into it. Oh, a nice stun there as well. This does put some pressure onto them. Jalen Sanity needs the heal, and Mage Monkey will find poison, so that's a ton of damage. And Watkins feels like he needs to get aggressive, but there's the Convergence, and he goes into the Enlightenment, but can't clip the Saris, which is who he wanted, and Sigma finds the kill in response. Va needs to give this heal over to the Cassie, and now she's back in the fray. This is a lot of damage. Can she find enough kills? Misses the blast shot, but Gore, it looks like it will be enough. The Dome Shield was already used. There's no way to defend this unless somebody makes a big play.
Stigma does go down. Ninny dancing around the point as best they can. This payload's slowly moving in, but poison is done. Jalen Sanity's still alive, still pushing, but it's going to be him, Baller, Steve, and Ninny all in a ring trying to do whatever they can, but respawn proximity is here for Zenith, and if they can just hold out longer, then they should be able to get this.
Immortal just gets charged up as well, and so is the Seismic Crash. Do you use the wall? Do you stun it out? They're trying to make the call now. Are my damage dealers back to follow up on this? There's so much damage happening in this fight, so many kills, but the overtime will not wait for any man, king, or warden. The defense is successful, but not after a valiant attempt at an offense by Ferocity.
That was a hell of a fight from Zenith, too. I mean, at the very end of it, like, if you pop your Immortal, you pop your Seismic Crash,
yep,
that might go in.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's a little hairy, but it might go in. But Ferocity, this goes back to the conversation we were having kind of towards the beginning of the set. I admire holding on to your ult more. It's way more worth having it for this round than to find yourself up 2-0 and having to fight into ults and a comeback mechanic. But that is just a scary thought. I mean, if you find yourself potentially with Ferocity at your doorstep, they have 3 points and they're looking to push a payload in, there's no reason to hold back then, and I think that's when Zenith will probably feel the full brunt of that force.
And it's all about the last team standing. That's what matters here, not who wins that point, who gets a 2-0. All of that is meaningless. It's who ends up with 4 points before the other. And Kerfluffle here now 15% for anybody on Team Zenith steps through, but the damage is relevant. Ninny knows that he has put him under pressure, and that has actually resulted in a kill, and now Flame Effect can take the space that has been given to him, looking for anyone who might be trying to flank. The counter is up. Is it enough? He goes into the billow with 91 health left, skirts over the gourd, and finds himself a little bit of a heal, and will make it out safely.
This is the angle. Every DPS, we were talking about this when we watched Warder's Gate earlier, this little room right in front of Cassie, and this area in general is really safe. You essentially have 3 sides that are covered, 1 side that you're going to have to worry about, and you're shooting at it. So you typically know where all the damage is going to come from. Stigma's going to be able to lock these shots and find a kill out of it. He's gotten everyone low, but there's yet to be any true blood spilled.
And I mean, Flame has done such a good job of being a nuisance. I mean, he's 2 moments where he's basically dead, but he billows and gets a full reset, and this is a problem. If he finds a kill here, and look at that, again, a 3rd time Flame Effects, and this is the smartest thing to do if you're a Poison. You need to get rid of him, and now you can rotate onto Baller Steve. He knows you're coming, but he's got to keep his front lines healed. Poison knows better than this to let a snake go out, and he's going to try and finish this one off right there. Mage Monkey should be first, but he's getting taken down from the backside. Watkins may have just saved the day there. Baller Steve somehow is still alive, and Watkins gets the heal. Here's Jalen Sanity trying to do the job that DPS should have done, but wasn't able to do, and still, Gore, this fight is happening, and now Watkins is the one who goes and finds the Saris in the back line. He pays with his life for it. And it may not have been enough, but it does seem to put Team Zenith at least into an option to counter, maybe give it one more last chance.
They contested for long enough to be able to get Ash back on there. Unfortunately, Ash is just going to fall down. Mage Monkey not able to live. Baller Steve getting pressured out by Jalen Sanity. The overtime timer is going down. Stigma, or Flame Effects there, I mean, going to end up going down. Stigma doing whatever he can. Baller Steve finally killed off in the back line. That's going to give it over towards Ferocity. I mean, that was just so much from Zenith that was going right. Baller Steve almost killed Jalen Sanity.
Unbelievable.
But they weren't able to pull it all out.
I mean, the mastery of a potential Maldamba player, you can see how high the skill ceiling is to min-max the moment, and that is what makes him probably the greatest character in Paladins because of the level of depth that is provided, but also the level of simplicity that is added to the general experience of him. Just what a phenomenal character design and how it shows up in high-level play. It's just so interesting to watch, and Baller Steve has certainly put on a show. Almost turns things around you have to talk about the play from Flame Effects and Zen too. I mean, Gore, that was 3 times he did a do-si-do and almost got out for a 4th, but wasn't able to make it happen.
And that's why I've admired Poison's willingness to get aggressive. He hasn't held back just because it's like, oh, I shouldn't be in that position. It's like, you know what? This guy's done this 2 times, 3 times now.
Yep.
We have to get rid of this Zen, and just being able to follow him up, recognizing how he can follow his pathing, but do it a Bomb King way, I would say, to make it a little bit faster of a gap close. Unfortunately, now Flame Effects is finding potentially candy in a candy shop because everyone's lining up for those Yomi strikes.
Yeah, and you have to find it, but here's the thing. He's still in the thick of things. I don't know if he can get healed because the support, the front line needs the healing as well, but Baller Steve says take the front line, be that kind of presence that we need to stop them from getting out of this room, and I will heal you as recompense here. He's trying to go for the counter again. Finally dies within that 2-second window that a good Zen player will have where you can take them down. And now Poison's looking to maybe get this to a 3-1 situation. It looks like it will occur. Stigma takes down Watkins, and just like that, Ferocity have won 2 in a row and are on the brink of winning a 3rd.
And I have to say, I mean, it's one of the roughest scenarios to be in when you're Zenith, mainly because you are up 2-0, and now you are facing a potential reverse sweep. But the other thing is just for this game, you had a really stellar fight to get that defense last time at the very end. You had a really solid point fight. But at the end of the war of attrition, you lost both of them. And that's got to be demoralizing in and of itself, let alone the fact that Ferocity is 1 point from being able to put themselves up on top for this set.
No doubt about it.
And you can look at the slash lines. They're not doing anything crazy. It's really the streaks, the fact that they're undying, the damage, and the healing from Saris. It's just everything coming together. Ferocity at this point have just kind of elevated their teamwork to be better.
Yeah, and I mean, let's shout out Va as well. I mean, Baller Steve has had his own level of pressure. He's been just trying to survive, and he's done a great job, but Va is doubling his healing at this point. In 10 minutes, he's got 180,000 healing. That is pretty unbelievable. Saris raising in the tiers as we speak on this map. Just because of the close fighting and the way Void Abides was built into the kit, it seems to be so effective for him. Mage Monkey finding Stigma, though. Mage Monkey maybe wanted to go in, doesn't have the ult yet. This would be trouble. Oh, trouble, and he's gonna not go down. Jalen Sanity will actually find the kill on the Watkins instead with a double kill this time around on the Fernando. And Mage Monkey with the stun potential will land, but it may not result in the type of pressure he was hoping for.
The Immortal comes out.
He has
Ash
to run
is
away
going to have
from
to
it.
run away. Yeah, that's
My
the
God.
most unfortunate spot to be in. And now 90%, 93, they're going to get this.
I mean, I don't see how they can't. Ferocity, they take it 3 games after losing the first 2. And they grab the win over Zenith. Wow.
Whew. I mean, that is 2 sets in a row. Zenith has gone all 5 games. They got fortunate that Frozen Guard was the last map, and they got to choose it for that end in the last set. But Warder's Gate, that did not go the way they thought it would. And again, they chose a very similar draft. It looked really good going into that. It was just execution and how that Bomb King looked.
I mean, it's a very niche thing in Paladins. It's a thing that when you talk about great teams, they all know how to do all the little niche things.
Yeah.
But playing against the Kinessa, who's good, not every team knows how to handle that.
Good
and
point.
that was 2 games in a row, Frozen Guard Frog Isle, that they won when Watkins was on Kinessa. After that, no wins. And I know you saw some earlier, but it felt like that was the thing that really
Cemented
Ferocity was struggling with. Once they got the Kinessa maps out of the way, everything changed. Poison got on that BK. The Pip wasn't as effective. They had to switch things up for Flame. The Zen was nice, but then Stigma took it. And look at this, Ferocity, Team Zenith. It makes sense. They're the ones who are able to go ahead and grab themselves the top 2 spots here in this group. Stack Like Pancakes, obviously, took them to 5 as well, but Zenith with that win over Ferocity separate themselves from the pack. And or Ferocity with that win over Zenith obviously separate themselves from the pack and are able to take that #1 seed.
And this is, I want to say, like, no disrespect to Hivemind, who came in 4th here, but honestly, the top 3 teams of this, you could have told me any of those 3 were going to advance, and I absolutely would have believed it. But the PML only takes 2 from this group, so unfortunately for Stack Like Pancakes and Hivemind, they are going to have to lay in wait until maybe a spot opens for them.
Well, we do have another group coming up. That was only half of the day. I know it's enough games to have done the whole day through, basically, but it's only halfway. We have a whole other group, and this is where Bork will be playing some of your favorite kind of Paladins players will be showcasing their stuff in the second part of North America and the PML qualifiers. So don't go anywhere. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.